Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Great to have you. So I've been really looking forward, since we've been doing this podcast, been looking forward to having this one, and obviously Hayley's next, because what you've done since you've joined the business has been great. I think we've always wanted to do big things here, and I think that's been the vision, is how can we do things big and quick. There's always been people that have probably pulled us back operationally because maybe the experience. So I remember saying to our chairman one day is that I want to get someone that can be me but in operations. So a lot of people said we wasn't ready, but I think appointing yourself has shown not just the industry but us and externally that it was the right decision. You're big with the future for us, you're changing everything we're doing, so yeah, great to have you here, but yeah, lovely if you could make an introduction as well.
Yeah, that's a really nice introduction, thank you. So yeah, my name's Amy Noble-Newton. I've been here for about 18 months now, and my role is to run everything that isn't sales from an operational perspective. And I think, like yourself, when I joined InterEx, there was a lot of people that said, firstly, don't join InterEx. That's a crazy decision. And I'm so pleased over the last 18 months, we've definitely proven everyone wrong.
Perfect. Could you just give us a bit of a background of your high-level recruitment experience?
Yeah, so I started in recruitment. I worked it out last night, actually, 16 years ago, which sounds crazy. I started working in events recruitment for an agency recruiter. I then moved on to Frank Recruitment Group and spent the best part of 11 years there, really focusing on process, driving scale, and the development of people.
It's kind of off topic, right? But for me, having a woman leader in the business that's right at the top is actually a bit of a goal for me, because there is this perception around women in leadership roles and women in sales especially. How have you, across your years and now stepping into this role, what have been your biggest obstacles that you see just for yourself in that position?
I think there's a couple of things. For me personally, when I first started getting promoted up the ladder, I couldn't see anyone who was really like me. I come from Newcastle, don't come from, a really privileged background, and there wasn't a lot of role models that were doing the same thing, that sounded like me, that looked like me, and it was really important for me to try and break that barrier. I think when people can see people like themselves, it makes it easier for them, and that was something that I didn't have. I think the other thing is there's a lot of talk about let's move things forward, let's support women in getting to the next stage of their career, but there's very few people actually doing that. And I think one of the things that sets us apart at InterEx actually is we say it, but we really do it. And that's obvious with our teams. For me, getting promoted to a senior position shouldn't be because you're a woman. It should be because you're the right person for the job. And I think that's something that we really do embody here, and we're lucky that we attract really strong women. And I think that's something that you've supported in creating.
And I completely agree with that, right? Because your work ethic and your relentlessness to work and attitude to work is second to none. I've said that time and time again, it's very hard for anyone, male or female, to come close to your mindset of just go, which is honestly, it's something that you just couldn't replace. And I completely agree. It's not about just being a woman. You earned that place to have that job, and that's down to you, only you. And you say, obviously there's not a role model, but what drives you to where you are then?
So I think in terms of drive, one of the things that I look at now is kind of the obstacles and challenges that exist. I used to see them as obstacles and challenges, and now I see things like that, or when we have tough times, as a positive, because everything that's happened in my life to get us to this point has ended up having a positive impact on me. So I think for me, the biggest thing that I've overcome on a personal level is about 14 years ago, my stepdad died, and he was my idol. He was literally everything to me. And at the time, I just started getting into recruitment. I just started making decent money. I'd really just started to become successful. And you mentioned that kind of work ethic there. I was really driven to succeed, but I kind of didn't know why. And what I let happen was I let work kind of take over, which meant when he got sick, I probably didn't spend as much time with him as I could have done. And when he passed away, I wasn't there because I was working. And I think that for a lot of years, there was a lot of guilt around that. But now, after a bit of hindsight and a bit of time to process it, I think that has given me the motivation and drive to really want to make him proud. And that's one of the things that I think well, I know I wouldn't be where I am today if that actually hadn't happened. And still now, when it's a tough situation, he would be the voice I hear in my head. And I think now looking back on that, if he hadn't have passed away and I didn't have this innate drive to make him proud, I wouldn't be where I am. So I think that's given me a really strong sense of purpose and a really strong why as to why I want to do this type of thing.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's given me a bit more empathy. And I hope that my teams would see that, is that I am incredibly work orientated, I'm incredibly work driven, and want to be the best I can be. But at the same time, I do appreciate there is more to life than just work. And I hope my teams would say that when tough situations happen, I am empathetic towards them.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't have a why.
For sure.
A lot of people don't have a purpose, and the list goes on. I interview a lot of people as well, and there's no real driver behind it, and then there's empty promises, and that's what I see quite consistently. But what would you say is probably the best advice someone's ever given you?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this when we started talking about doing this podcast, and I think for me there's two things. One, it's not about what happens, it's about how you react to it. So we know we can try and control anything and everything, but you never can. And it's really important that when we're in tough situations, particularly as leaders, it's about how you react. And lots of things will happen, and inevitably things will go wrong. People will make decisions that we can't control. But for me, it's about acting with the right mindset, the positivity of things that can get better. And also with that, whenever there has been a really tough situation, we've survived, right? We've moved forward. So remembering that in the way that you react is really important. And I think the other thing that has become even more important to me over the last couple of years is what other people think of you is none of your business. And I'm very focused now on, when I hear factually incorrect things about myself, about the business, about you, it's really important that we don't look sideways and we don't care about what other people think. And if they, typically they're relevant to my life or what I'm doing. And as long as I know the truth and have the belief in my mission and my values, that's all that's important.
Yeah, and I resonate with that a lot, because most comments, bad usually, is a distraction, competition, all of that. So I'm a big believer about that, and I've always thought of that. And I think I've always had to try and say to people, well, let me show you.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, right? But I think success speaks for itself. And actually, when people are talking about you, it's probably because you're on that right trajectory.
Yeah, for sure. You're obviously very ambitious, right? I think from where you are to here, it's a different role. Yeah. We're a different size of a business, but it's a different role. What does the future look like for Amy?
I think firstly, I'm incredibly lucky to have found InterEx. This business is about driven people, hungry people, people who've got this relentless need to succeed, and being surrounded by people like that. It doesn't matter whether they're the new people coming in or our senior leadership team. When you come to work on a daily basis and you're surrounded by people like that, your goals and ambitions get bigger.
Yeah.
Like they genuinely do, and what they were 18 months ago to today are completely different. And I think as a business, we have never been in a better position to grow. We've got everything in place to execute, the biggest ambitions that we've got. And I think for me, the next, if I look to the next 6 months, the next 18 months, it's all about elevation and execution. And I really believe that we can have the best L&D programs, the best talent acquisition programs, the best process, and really show the industry that InterEx is at the forefront of everything that we do. And I'm excited to prove that.
Interesting. What could stop that happening?
I don't believe in the outside factors that can stop things happening. I think if we want it bad enough and we can work hard enough for it, I don't think anything can stop us.
Look, I appreciate you going into detail about everything. Like I said, just your journey is inspiring, where you are, who you are, everything like that. Like, you're definitely a role model to everyone in our business. Like, any gender. Like, I'm proud to have someone like you in the business, because I've always said I wanted a business partner. I've said it in many of my interviews, and I think working with you has been that. And that's why I think since you've joined, we're just going from strength to strength to strength to strength, because we can break up roles, we can focus, and we can dominate, and that's what we are doing.
100%.